What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid did go down 0.48%, so it was kind of among the few outliers today. 203 the low, 211 the high, and 83 million shares being traded. 103 is the average. Most of the market did actually move higher today because of good data. So today we did have GDP, also the market pricing in Nvidia's earnings, which I think Wall Street's just being overly critical on, but generally they were good. So you had GDP, which came in better than anticipated, initial jobs claims as well coming in better than anticipated. So that's what moved most of the market higher. But Lucid has just been stuck, and it's been a while since I've done a Lucid video, roughly around 4 days. I did a trip down to Maui, and I'm sure you can kind of tell from the burn, but there hasn't been any news from Lucid. So I think all of this price action over the last several trading days has just been associated and linked to the whole reverse stock split. And so clearly, if Nick is actually coming out and doing a post talking about the whole, like the reverse stock split, what it means, you can kind of tell that they are getting a lot of pushback. And it is fair to assume that they would, right? Because this is where I think it all depends whether you are optimistic on Lucid or not. So if you are optimistic on Lucid, logically speaking, the reverse stock split and their explanation does not make sense. So it is fair to assume that they are hiding something, possibly a hedge fund wanting to take a stake in Lucid. That is the only, I think, logical conclusion if you want to be optimistic. So I think that's why the price point has been, and you have been seeing some buying, is because people kind of want to remain optimistic. Bearish side is, like I said, just Lucid's mentality is that there's a massive amount of institutions that are lining up and want to buy Lucid, but they can't because of it being a penny stock. So it just does not overall make sense. And Nick's post right here, he's kind of going against what people are saying, hey, the reverse stock split is not dilution, which I do completely agree. They are completely separate. But I think just the timing, it is going to come hand in hand, only because reverse stock split is going to be effective on the 2nd, September the 2nd. And so when it comes down to technically dilution, which I've been fairly accurate on timing, it will be most likely end of Q3, early Q4. So that's right around the corner. So I think the timing of the reverse stock split and dilution, I agree, it's completely separate, but timing, it just isn't that good of an image for Lucid. And even aside from that, speaking of image, there hasn't really been all that much in posts from Lucid. Like this was posted earlier today, and so they're pushing the Lucid Gravity X, so the new concept vehicle. And I think my problem is, so like I mentioned, I went down to Maui, and even aside from that, I think 2 weeks prior, I went to New York. Both times, I did not see a single Lucid vehicle. Aside from, of course, going to New York and actually test driving the Gravity, I didn't actually see a natural one out in the wild. Whereas Rivian, I saw like a million of them, which is rather unfortunate. And even in Maui, which seems to be very much integrating EVs, you saw a lot of Cybertrucks, saw a lot of Rivians, no Lucids. So I think Lucid really does need to get their crap together. They cannot be doing this and even this type of posts. I don't understand if someone sees this, like, hey, I have a dog, I'm going to go buy a Gravity. It just doesn't jive. So I think Lucid's marketing, they really need to sit down and think about what they are actually doing and if this is beneficial. Is this dog owners your target audience? Is, for instance, going back over here, this Jackson Riddle, is this individual, his followers, your target audience? Do they have money? So I think Lucid just really needs to sit down and think long and hard about what they are truly doing. So that's just my viewpoint. So I think just generally the reverse stock split is just adding a lot of grayness to people's mentality. But aside from that, shorts did return 701,000 shares today. So that was a little bit more of a surprising price action. 30.41% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 381.74 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average has gone up quite a lot since my last video. So it is sitting at 42.42. That's an annual rate, not a daily rate. DTC is 2.85 days. So that does signal that shorts are rather overextended, because DTC does factor in Lucid's average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. So definitely good to see. So if you're one of those individuals that believes a squeeze is right around the corner, you never know. But aside from that, looking at the options, you had 838,000 in calls, 824,000 in puts, most of which today were neutral in nature, but still lower and lower dollar value when it comes down to Lucid. And most likely people just don't want to deal with the hassle associated to a new chain, because all of these chains, everything right here is going to be pretty much dormant. So if you are buying something, you technically can either sell it back to the market maker, or that's it, you can't buy more. So it's going to be new chains 2 days most likely after the reverse stock split. That is where option traders like myself will have a lot of fun. So again, that's probably why you're seeing a little bit lower volume for options today. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that 250 to 250, and oddly you see it kind of anticipated to go to that $3 range for the following week. So that clearly people are assuming that there's going to be some level of squeeze, and of course the reverse stock split would be encumbered in that, so technically that would be $30, right? Aside from that though, bears are anticipating for it to be sub $2 even going into next week, so roughly around that $20 range. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000, so somewhat evenly divided between the buys and the sells. Dark pool kind of a little bit on the low end today. So this is often enough used by hedge funds and shorts, as I've often enough explained. As of right now though, with that 207, it landed exactly on this S1. So that's going to be a key pivot that you really want to watch for it to close above tomorrow. If not, you're going to see a little bit of a breakdown to that $1.74. So again, that would be $17.40, give or take, right? So take this times by 10. That's pretty much going to be your new levels to watch for. Aside from that, there hasn't been any new articles worthwhile to really bring up. There hasn't been any new kind of analyst ratings, no real anything to really bring up. So now people are just waiting whether post reverse stock split Lucid is going to squeeze or not. So I think that's kind of the big thing for right now. Aside from all that fun stuff though, as I've shown in the past, this is the flow, but on the actual chart itself, there's not really much positives. Yesterday as well as today kind of showed that it wanted to move up slightly, but still there's not really that good of a catalyst. And this is something that has gotten me not really in a positive light, because I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I really don't really care what people think of me, in all fairness, but I always want to tell you the complete, honest truth and what I feel is happening. Any stock, even outside of Lucid, you need a catalyst. You need something for investors to look forward to. And if you don't actually have that, let's say you don't have that ramp up, you have a lot of grayness, then that is really going to de-incentivize buying. And this is why Lucid has really failed to really break out above these key points, despite the broader market really ripping. So I think just it is unfortunate, the timing about the whole reverse stock split and everything. If I was Lucid, I would be doing more and more actual interviews about Uber and what that does truly mean. You have a lot of articles like over the last couple of weeks just assuming, hey, this is going to come, this is going to come. But if Lucid had actually said, hey, this is like a testament to our technology, and keep hitting that home, I feel like that is where you could get some actual buyers because of that. But still, as of right now, not really much positives at all to bring up on the chart itself. Still, it's kind of funny, you open Twitter and you have instantly people saying, hey, Lucid is ready to go up 500%. it's kind of, people are just very optimistic, and that's been a very common thing happening with Lucid for like forever. I know I've been covering Lucid since 2021. There's always been a lot of people really wanting Lucid to go up. Just Lucid doesn't do the right thing. So I think just right now, Lucid really needs to solidify what that reverse stock split does mean. Hopefully, on the optimistic standpoint, that they actually do have some actual hedge funds lined up wanting to do some deals and take a larger stake in Lucid. Maybe that kind of matches with Mark's institutional comments in the past from his interview on Bloomberg, where he wants to kind of move away from retail and more focus towards institutions, which is kind of a slap in the face, mind you, but nonetheless, maybe that's what is coming. So we just have to sit tight and wait and see if Tuesday brings a squeeze or not. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Lucid? And one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.